You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show.
Yep.
Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire. Thank you for joining us for another episode. I'm here today with Keke and Hi, Keke.
Hello.
And with Rich Nelson. Hi, Rich.
Hey.
And we're going to be having a bit of a catch-up of all things Finnish football, really. We'll start by looking at the current state of play in the Veikkausliiga and one or two current goings-on there. We'll look forward to the Women's Euro 2022 competition, which starts next week on Wednesday, the 6th of July. And we'll also have a look at the Suomen Cup because we're into the quarterfinal phase and games are being played tonight as we record this and over the next day or so. So by the time you get to listen to this, you'll probably have results and they'll be listed in the blog post. So have a look down there. But there's the referee's whistle. And I think, Rich, we should start with a little bit of breaking news that came through this afternoon about Finland's record of goal scorer.
Yeah, well, let's be equality friendly here. Record men's goal scorer.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's But so it's come out today that Teemu Pukki's agent has told MTV, and for the uninitiated, MTV is a sports channel in Finland, not the American music one. But yeah, he's told them that they are in negotiations with Norwich with the aim of leaving the club and Teemu moving ideally to a Premier League side or at least a top division in a big league. And I think the comments, the quotes were that he yearns to play at a higher level and feels like he's proved himself after 2 seasons in the Premier League where he's done very well in a struggling team and then scored a hat load of goals in the Championship. So I think it's an interesting scenario for him because we talked about it on a previous episode about sort of where next after Norwich's relegation. And it's difficult because he's got 1 year left on his contract at Norwich. So you'd like to think they'd cash in, especially the fact that he's 32 now. But then he's a proven goal scorer at Championship level. If Norwich are looking to go back up to the Premier League, they could sell him and get 10, 15 million pounds for him maybe, but then you're not going to get a replacement who'd fit in as well as he would. So there's decisions to be made. I think Teemu Turunen, who's his agent, is quite open, saying that if things don't change, then he'll be here in August and carry on as before. But I think there's a lot of speculation as to where he might go. And I think if he's looking at staying in England, then realistically, we were talking off air about one of the promoted clubs, maybe someone like Leeds or Brighton or Brentford, a team like that, where again he'd score a lot of goals. But it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks now because the story's gone global, as it were. The main English, it was in the Athletic this evening, a report around it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens because Pukki's a legend at Norwich, and I don't think anyone would begrudge him a move, but for the sake of Norwich City, they'll want to keep him because they won't be able to replace him, quite frankly. So it's interesting to see where it goes because I think if he still thinks he can have another couple of years at a top division team, then he needs to act now. But where, who knows?
Okay, what do you think? My thoughts are yes. Okay, it might be they sell him for 10 or 15 million, and that might not be worth as much to them as all those Championship goals. But also, if a player wants away, then maybe it's better to let them go and sort of cherish what you once had.
Yeah, I mean, as Rich said, he is a bona fide legend at Norwich City, and he always will be. I mean, he scored bucket loads of goals for them, and yeah, as you said, Rich, I don't think the fans would begrudge him a move if he does feel that he can still do the business in the Premier League. I certainly think he can. We all saw how poor Norwich were last year, and Teme ended up with more than a few goals. So I still think he can do a job, and in a better side he'd flourish. But with agents, you never know whether it's a tactic for a little pay rise over the next year or so, or what. But you've got to look at Norwich's business model. I think they're obviously they'll get their parachute payment, etc. But I just think, if in the grand scheme of things, maybe 10, 11, 12 million pound ain't a lot of money when you're talking about Premier League footballers these days. But I think for a fella of Teme's age who's got 12 months left to run, if they can coax 12 or 15 million pound out of another Premier League team, then Norwich City might be tempted to sell.
Okay, we watched this space. We finished our previous kind of full Finnish football show speculating about his future, and now we've done just a little bit more. A little bit more. We're speculating every step of the way. So I dare say when we all get back from one of these, maybe in July or early August, then we'll have a little bit more information. The season will be basically starting by then.
Maybe that's where Teme's agent got the story from initially. Do you know what I mean? He's obviously an avid subscriber to the Finnish football show. Heard us lot chatting about it and thought, there's something to run with there.
Let's move on somewhere a little closer to home for me, anyway, which is the Veikkausliiga season, where we're about halfway stage now. Some teams have played 11, some have played 12, so it's there or thereabouts. When the regular season is 22 games before it splits into the top 6 and the bottom 6. I don't know. I recognise this team at the top, KuPS. They seem to be doing all right, Rich.
Yeah, the unbeaten record is gone. They 31 games unbeaten. They lost away to Honka a couple of weeks ago. Turned up and just got played off the park. Really didn't turn up that day, unfortunately, and Honka played well. Honka are third, and realistically, you could say they're kind of the third horse in that race for the title, at least at this stage, and they've only played 11 matches. KuPS beat AC Oulu 2-1 at the last round of fixtures, and they've added to the squad. They've signed Filip Valencic, who has been at Inter and Hoiko in the last few years. He scored a lot of goals for them, and then went to Dynamo Minsk in Belarus and did absolutely nothing, as predicted, just as the war was kicking off in that part of the world. So he's come back for the rest of the season. KuPS are the third highest goal scorers in the table, but again, he'll add some firepower there.
Now, will he, Rich, or are you going to have to end up eating your hat again at the end of the season? You're going to make
I'll eat the hat you're wearing. Yeah, I think.
Listen, I'm getting ready for my holidays. It starts on Friday, so I thought I'd come dressed suitably.
Yeah, I mean, Valencic has proven quality, and I think other than this really weird spell in Belarus, he has proved, even up to last season at Hoiko, he was still scoring a bucket full of goals. So as long as he's fit and can be integrated well, I mean, obviously KuPS have got Tim Bowen and Ikalnix who's scoring goals for him, but I think he's proven quality, and to get him even just till the end of the season is a good little signing for KuPS.
Is that on loan, Rich?
No, I think it's a short-term contract.
Oh, right, okay.
I think he was released from Minsk. But yeah, they I think that monkey or the millstone of the unbeaten run is gone now, so they don't have to worry about that too much. But yeah, that Honka game was a really poor performance. But yeah, they got a 3-point lead and a game in hand over Hoiko now, which is a nice thing to see. Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, you mentioned Honka there, and we've spoken about them on previous shows. They're really sort of doing things. They're pulling up trees, and that KuPS result really goes to show you that they're serious in this division. They're sort of up there giving it a go, and like you say, mate, they're in that race. I know, it's still a way to go, but they're in that race for top spot. I mean, Sadiku, he's putting in some brilliant performances. He's turning it on all over the place. We spoke about the other chap, Florian Klebs, before. He's doing good things. So yeah, I mean, good on Honka. It's good to see him doing well.
They're a very solid Veikkausliiga team, aren't they? They're generally there or thereabouts in that sort of 3rd to 5th spot, and they've made a very good start to the season. They're 2 games behind HJK, so they win their game in hand. They're level, potentially above them on goal difference, and only another victory behind KuPS, so it's tight.
Yeah, well, the next round is KuPS v HJK. Oh, sorry, HJK v KuPS on at the weekend. So and HJK are in rotten form, and their injuries are piling up as well. Rupariski's been ruled out for the season, as is Valtteri Moran. Joona Toivio has been ruled out, I think, for the next month to 6 weeks. So he's going to miss their first European matches. They're really, really struggling. They had Radulovic sent off against Oulu for, it wasn't a foul at all, but he got sent off for it. And yeah, the form's been appalling because they lost at home to Oulu and then lost away to Mariehamn as well the week after. And yeah, things are getting very tense there. You've got the coaches under quite a bit of pressure because I think it was a couple of years ago, maybe slightly more, they sacked the manager for a similar run of form at a similar point of the season. And I think Koskela's looking a little bit unsteady. Obviously, he can't help injuries, but still, you think HJK would have the resources and the strength in depth to be able to do pretty well. But yeah, they're looking well off the pace at the moment. And if they drop points against KuPS next weekend, that gap's going to look very big.
It's been a torrid time for them, hasn't it? I mean, these injuries are really nasty, and they're mounting up. But they had the Jair scandal to deal with. It's just been one bad news story after another for poor old HJK. So I mean, interesting for the rest of us watching how the league unfolds. But you don't really want teams to be under pressure because of injuries. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it does sort of make it a bit more interesting at the top there.
And there's a bit of a gap then from Honka in 3rd down to Inter and apace Oulu in 4th and 5th, respectively, but both on 18 points. And for Inter, perhaps underperforming a little, maybe 3rd or 4th is where they would be.
They didn't do too bad last time out. They smashed Lahti 5-1, and they've got them again on Saturday, I think it is. So I don't know if they'll be looking for another 5-1 victory.
Well, they're the top scorers, but then Chalman is leaving at the end of the week. It's his final game as we record tomorrow against HJK in the Cup. His contract expires at the end of June, and the clever money's he'll move, try again going abroad after he had a spell in, was it Norway, that didn't go particularly well before he returned home. So
that's another one of those sort of short-term contracts.
Yeah,
like with Valencius, coming back.
Yeah, so he's leaving at the end of the week. Oulu have re-signed Rasmus Karjalainen, which is a great move for him. Gets in games. He had a sort of rotten injury run over the last sort of 18 months or so. I mean, he was very much on the fringe of the first 11 for the Finland team when they qualified for the Euros, and then got injured and has really struggled to get sort of regular game time. So going to a team like Oulu, who are doing really, really well this season, hopefully that works out for everyone and doesn't disrupt them too much. But there's a lot of signings going on now.
Then from sort of 6th down to 9th, Ilves, Haka, VPS and ACK, it's all fairly close, fairly stodgy. I mean, here's something to sort of show the differences between VPS and ACK. VPS have scored 21 goals in 11 games. I'm sure they've scored 5 twice. I keep seeing VPS 5, which as a senior hockey fan, seeing a Vasa team banging in goals sticks in the throat a little.
Yeah, but it's normally ACK or nil. So.
well, that's the thing. We've scored 11 in 12 games. I mean, man, I'm not enjoying my football this much. This at the moment. I've been on a run since November, early December, where Wimbledon started losing games and went on a 27 game run without a win. And now Ashley Gore picked up the baton and they're manfully trying to continue that run. I just really not enjoying football much at the moment. I've got a holiday coming up, 2 weeks off, and I'm quite looking forward to not watching too much football. Thank you very much.
I mean, Vapeers, they're their league position sort of tells the story. They've won as many as they've lost. But that where's that guy from? Rich, is it in Ipswich Town? The guy they got on loan.
Yeah, he's
he looks the real deal. I mean, he's doing all right.
I think he scored 4 or 5 already. He's done really well. They've lost Seba Strandval. I think it might be for the whole season, if not for at least 3 months. Their captain and the kind of the talisman of the team. But then when he got injured, they went to Hoyevko and battered them. So yeah, it's they're one of the teams that seem to be scoring well. Even Stephen Morrissey, I think, racked up his 300th appearance for the club quite recently. He scored 2 in that match, but then to be fair, I could have scored 2 in that match.
Well, the interesting thing there about their goal scorers, they've got 3 that have scored 4 goals and someone else who's got 3. So they're really spreading it around the team. Whereas Ashley Gore got 1 person who scored 3 in 12 and someone else who scored 2. So it's there's a problem anyway for us. I guess if VPS have scored that many goals and they've only got 3 more points than say Gnocchi, then they must have some issues at the back because they're not racking up huge wins or a huge number of wins anyway. But we're just bad, really bad, like just slow, plodding, boring.
Trust the process.
Yeah, but this process is so slow. I don't think we're ever it's ever gonna get anywhere. I don't know. There's talk of maybe a couple of players have left, contracts ending. So maybe that means that there's a couple coming in. Maybe this rebuilding, we just have to stick with it. There was a very interesting article in the local newspaper today, which I sent you guys, and I'll quote the headline. I haven't read the whole thing because the thing that was sent to me is a bit blurry, but Montevalmentaja samad ongelmat. Many managers, same problems. Let's leave it there.
Yeah, there we go.
And then just at the bottom of the table, we've got Mariehamn in 10th on 10 points, Lahti in 11th with 9 points, and poor old Hoyevko at the bottom with 6 points, 1 win and a few draws to bring up the rear. Any developments in what's been going on for Hoyevko?
I think from all I've heard is that they have enough money to keep going for the time being. I think there's an element they may have oversold quite how desperate things were, but who knows? But whatever happened, they picked up their first win last week against Ilves last minute. Well, sorry, not last minute late. I think it's 5 minutes left. Winner, although then Ilves went up the other end in the 95th minute and missed a penalty. But that's Mixu's first win for them, and by all accounts, things are steady enough for them to keep going for the foreseeable future. Because I mean, the way things were reported as things were sort of dire, terminal, or words that I saw, and I think people rallied around, and I think they seem to have done enough to keep going. Certainly in the short term, how that translates quite till the end of the season, we don't know. But I think the kind of imminent doom has lifted for the time being. But yeah, and I think some of their ex-players have been kind of quite keen raising some money. I think even Saku Eriksson had something on the website today about that. But I think, yeah, and again, there were a lot of rumours that like Mixu's contract might financially cripple them, but they came out and quashed all that. But who knows? I mean, he takes a lot of Christmas trees.
Let's maybe just finish off that by mentioning in the blog post to go with this episode, I've put the table as it stands and the top scorers. But at the top at the moment with 7 goals is Lee Irwin from Haka, Benjamin Chelman from Inter, and Tim Vaurinen from KuPS, or never score.
Okay.
It's interesting because I think at the start of the season, someone made a shout about Erwin scoring some goals. Was that you, Keke?
Yeah, I just wanted to say before we disappear off the league table, there's our the ones who we love to see perennial mid-tablers, and Rich is sporting their delightful shirt today, FC Lahti. They're down there in 11th place, but they just got themselves a new manager, I believe. They've done what they thought needed to be done, got rid of the old fella, and they got themselves a new manager, haven't they?
Yeah, the new coach is Mikko Manila. He was the ROPS manager last year, got them into the playoffs for promotion with a very, very young team, and did really well. And then their financial scenario blew up, and the club sort of lucky to survive. He's now at Lahti, and he's won his first game, albeit we'll talk about the cup game shortly.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's come in. He did well at ROPS and has been around a while. I think they were rumoured at looking at Jona Kolka, who's just left his role at PSV Eindhoven, but that never happened for reasons. But yeah, Lahti, they were a basket case, absolute basket case of a club, despite being, no offence to any Lahti fans, but boring. They've been quite exciting for a change. It's nice, not just their kit.
Yeah. How about if then if we pause there, head into our halftime break, and then come back after halftime, look at the Women's Euros and the Suomen Cup. I was going to go into sharing my screen in honor of the Finland women's team, the Helmerit, who are playing in the Women's Euros next week, and share some images of the beautiful Finnish football show Suomi t-shirt, but I can't because my computer's being naughty. So we'll skip that and just say, if you're watching the video, you'll be seeing a picture of this right now. And if you're listening to the podcast, head over to tpublic.com, public.com. Have a look down in the description. There's a link down there. All of the t-shirt sales are make a little bit for the show and go towards the running of the show. And also, Rich, we've got the Buy Me a Coffee.
Yeah, buy us coffees, beers, whatever. Pay for our tickets in Milton Keynes.
Or perhaps more importantly, your ticket away from Milton Keynes.
Yeah, well, didn't the Style Council saying come to Milton Keynes? We didn't come live in Milton Keynes. I can't remember how the song went, but yeah, no, that'll be three games coming up. I think Keke's getting a 3. I'm getting a 2. Gonna be a nice little turnout, I think, by the sounds of it.
Okay, so send us all the money you can possibly spare and keep these two in meat pies for all those games that they've got coming up, and we'll move on from that unusually shambolic advert break, and we don't have Sipuli this week because Mark Hayton's not here and we didn't ask him. So there's the whistle. Let's go into the second half and let's look at this Women's Euros that's coming up. First of all, I suppose we should talk about the team. There was, one surprise. One of our players, Paula Muluoja, wasn't selected for this squad. Any other big surprises for you guys?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, obviously, I was really gutted for Paula. She will actually travel. She was there yesterday for the friendly, and she will actually travel with the squad just to be part of the group and just be on standby just in case anything else sort of happens. If any of the GKs are beset by injury or whatever, but yeah, you push hard, you work as hard as you can, and it's but someone, there's plenty of players. Some people obviously always miss out, and the Talas Latti who's come in, she's a quality goalie. I mean, we all know that that Tinny's gonna start, but yeah, Dalaslotti's come in, and it'll be an experience for her to be with the squad at the Euros. So fair enough. But yeah, the squad, it's a pretty familiar. There's a lot of familiar faces. I mean, the only other one who sort of missed out, who I was hoping to see, was Kaiser Collin, the ARK forward. I mean, she's not made the cut, and ARK are not doing brilliantly in Damallsvenskan, but Colin's a decent player. I thought she might get a look, but we spoke about this at the men's Euros. There's only so many players you can take, isn't there? So unfortunately, some do miss out. But yeah, it's a pretty decent looking squad. But yeah, they had their first warm up friendly yesterday, and half time it was all looking okay. It was maybe, I wouldn't say going to plan, but there was a sort of freakish own goal that gave Japan the lead down there in Turku, and the ball came over and sort of went in off of Natalia Kuika's chest past Tinny. But yeah, the girls sort of pulled it back to 1-1 at half time. Emma Koivisto got the ball and fed Adelina Engman, who turned the Japanese player absolutely wonderfully, and then just sort of drove on, kept going like a knife through butter, and larruped in a shot sort of just inside the box for 1-1. But yeah, Japan sort of really turned the screw in the second half.
Yeah, it finished 5-1, didn't it? Which is maybe not the best preparation ahead of the competition. I think it's fair to say that we've upped our game in the last year or so watching the women's game, but it's only been over the last year or so, and in that period of time, this squad looks fairly settled, which is probably why there's not any major surprises apart from Paula not being in there. But even me running my ignorant eye over the squad, there's the players there that I'm looking forward to see. Vesterlund at the back, bringing the ball out and spraying those long passes that I love to see, is one that I'll be keeping an eye out for. But I guess, does yesterday's result make you guys a little bit more nervous ahead of the competition? I mean, we should perhaps talk about the opponents as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Japan, the former World Cup winners, aren't they? And they're playing Netherlands at the weekend, who are the holders of the Euros as we speak, which will be another tough test.
But who got a spanking from England last week?
Well, exactly, yeah. So that's where we are. I mean, Netherlands, the holders, got beaten by England, who are the pre-tournament favourites. Finland, all the previews, all the predictions are that they are going to be the whipping people of the group and the tournament. And there was a graphic today from one of the stats websites saying that Finland had something like a 0.2% chance of winning the Euros, which, yeah, it's probably fair. And we'll have to share that with the old Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance gift that we're so fond of. But I mean, really, and I read a popular UK magazine, I won't name them, and they had a preview of the rest of the teams in the group, and it was Germany, Spain, Denmark. Wow. Oh, Finland.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And again, maybe that's the thing about women's football coverage. I don't know, but I mean, Finland can only learn and get the match sharpness from these games. I mean, even if they are getting the run around, and then they did. I think they performed quite well in the tournoi in France at the beginning of the year, and looked fairly competitive for decent chunks of those games against genuinely stronger opposition. And they've not played particularly well in the World Cup qualifiers, and now the squad's together. They've been training together for a while, and I mean, this squad know each other incredibly well. There are very few spaces for new people, but they'll learn from that Japan game. They'll learn from the Netherlands game. I mean, you'd imagine they'll go in there very much second favourites. But going into the group in the first game on Friday week against Spain, they can't ask for better preparation than playing Japan and Netherlands. This is the time. This is the thing that this team's been growing for, and they qualified well in a fairly strong group for this tournament. They beat Portugal, they beat Scotland, and won that group deservedly. And they deserve to be there. And again, this is their fourth tournament now. Some of these players have played at international tournaments before, so they've got that experience. Most of the players play in big leagues in Europe, in Italy, Germany, Spain, France. And got someone like we talked about Talaslahti. She's a Champions League winner, albeit on the bench. And Tuija Hurinen has won 5 titles in a row with Juventus. They're players of decent pedigree. So yes, they're very much full favourites in a very strong group. But again, turning up, it's a really big chance to show where Finnish football can go. From the women's team and develop that beyond this tournament as well.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if I can find information about where people can watch these games on TV. I'm having fun navigating the new Pallolito website, which is probably been built to keep us on our toes. No, I can't. I can't find it now, but I'll find it and put it in the blog post so that you can see where to watch these games.
I mean, like Rich said, these girls, they're all playing really well in their respective leagues. Quite a few of the girls are playing in Sweden, and yeah, we keep an eye on that Damallsvenskan League, and they're scoring goals regularly. They're putting in clean sheet performances at the other end, defensive, or whether that be defenders or goalies. We got the two girls at Tottenham in the WSL. Emma Koivisto, she's in the WSL. They're all playing at really good standards. And Heidi Kolonen, who suffered so badly with injury in the run to these Euros, like she's back and she's in the squad. She's been doing good things at KIF Orebo. So yeah, I mean, you're there, aren't you? You're going to play the best in the world when you're at the European the best in Europe when you're at the European Championship. But it's that's if you want to be at this top table, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I've just found it actually. It's on Yle as hoped. So that's the national broadcast over here in Finland. And how is the coverage being advertised in the UK, guys?
It's on the BBC. The media coverage, again, as it seems to do with every women's tournament, seems to be slightly more high profile. You've got a lot more female pundits, female presenters, and the coverage is generally a lot stronger. And I think certainly in this country, in the UK, I think that the coverage of the Women's Super League now is such that I think a lot of certainly the England players and some of those are very well known. And these games that are being shown on terrestrial TV, and really it's a massive opportunity. I mean, they've already sold, I think, nearly 500,000 tickets for the tournament across the many games, and even despite the controversies around where these games are being played, and I'm not just talking about Milton Keynes, but there are games at Man City's reserve stadium because of the way that the bidding process was done. But even so, I mean, 500,000 tickets is fantastic, and I think a chance to see. I mean, Keke was a slip of the tongue, but let's be honest. Other than Japan and the USA and arguably Canada, this is the best of the world, and really to have an opportunity for Finland to go up against 3 of the definitely stronger teams anyway. I mean, it's a massive opportunity for someone to make a name for themselves and really kind of make that memory in the way that the men's team did last summer.
So are all the games in the UK on terrestrial telly, or is it spread across different platforms and online and stuff?
I think some will be on like the Red Button, etc. The BBC Sport, although most of the new tellies can watch them as normal. I think the England games and some of the sort of other, I think the big games with the other big countries will be there. But I mean, it's a massive. I mean, bearing on the finals at Wembley, so you're looking at 85,000, 90,000 there, which is huge.
Yeah, I've noticed that the BBC is giving this, like the various podcasts that I listen to are giving this similar treatment to the men's competition. Last year, the FA held this day of Meet the Players, and it just feels like it's building up in a similar way, which it certainly hasn't before. I was hoping to be able to bring someone into our group, at least during this competition, but that contact hasn't been made yet. But I wouldn't mind having someone coming to join us and really talk to us about Finnish women's football from a different perspective. So if any women are listening out there with an interest in Finnish football or knowledge of Finnish football, we've all got an interest, but let's have some more knowledge, and then reach out, let me know.
Let's be honest, to plug, next week we're going to have an episode, an interview coming out with a lady who wrote a book about Finnish football, women's football, with a focus on Finland. It's in Finnish, but also across the history of women's football in Europe and around the world. So I spoke to Johanna Ruohonen last week about her new book, Naistenlahti, and she talked about the history and the development, the issues with inequality, the potential for growth in women's football in Finland mainly, looking ahead to this tournament. And she spoke to a lot of the players and the people behind the scenes, and how they're looking at using this tournament to make the profile of women's football in Finland massive. We joked about some of the gimmicks. I think one of the schemes has adverts with the princesses from Frozen, Snow White kicking the ball around. But no, it was an interesting chat. She knows an awful lot. She's done a lot of research, and as an amateur footballer herself, has an interesting insight. So that'll be coming out Monday.
Yeah, it'll be coming out just before the competition as a little continuation of this coverage. I've had a sneaky listen, and it's a really interesting interview. So well done, Rich, and thanks to Johanna. It's worth checking out.
I'll tell you what, I mean, especially, I don't want to bang on about it, but especially having missed out on my my tickets for the men's Euros due to that damn COVID. I mean, I for one, am certainly really looking forward to this. Obviously there's not a sort of getting on flights and disappearing to a foreign country that might give a little extra edge, and we are only off to Milton Keynes, but the 3 group games to support the country, over in a major tournament, it certainly has got me buzzing. I can't wait. I've got more than a few friends coming over from Finland for it. So look out, Milton Keynes. It's going to be going off.
Yeah, just to finish off there, then, just to remind of the 3 Finland group games. It's Friday, the 8th of July, Spain versus Finland at 7 p.m. I guess that's Finnish time. That's where I was looking at it. And then Tuesday the 12th, Denmark versus Finland, rematch from last year's Christian Eriksen game. The two countries match up again. That's at 7 p.m. on Tuesday the 12th. And then the final game is Saturday the 16th. That's at 10 p.m. Finnish time. And that's Finland versus Germany. I've been finding the UEFA website really, I mean, this might sound obvious, but really useful for information about this. And it goes down, you can drill down into some quite useful details about, pre-match and post-match statistics as well. So I've put the fixtures in there and a link to where that can all be found. Hopefully that's useful to the listener. Right. Finally, let's move on to Suomen Cup. We've been talking about Suomen Cup all the way through, from the days when there were hundreds of fixtures, and we were marveling at some of the names of these clubs down in the sort of 6th, 7th, 8th tier of Finnish football. We've got through the phase now where first teams are losing to their academy sides and reserves, and we're now at the quarterfinal stage. And earlier, Rich, you referred to Lahti's game that was actually played this evening when we were recording this, 28th of June. What was the result and what was the controversy?
So Lahti, who we spoke about earlier, first game under their new manager, they played Japs Järvenpää at home. They won 2-1. Japs, who beat Asiolu in the previous round, which is a cracking result, thanks to one of the great own goals of Finnish football history. Omar Marley strikes again. Lahti went 1-0 up, and their goalkeeper Antonio Reguero. It's hard to describe without sounding like Mortal Kombat. But
Assaulted.
With 2-foot scissors into the stomach of the Japs forward, feet several yards off the floor. It was an incredibly dangerous foul as the ball was lofted over. I mean, it wasn't exactly a one-on-one chance either. Got his marching orders after, I think it was about 26 minutes. And it was just a very ugly foul. If you want to see the video of it, I've got it on my Twitter feed. But it was very ugly.
To Suomi on
yes. Japs came back to equalise. They scored the resulting penalty to make it 1-1 at half time, and they then missed another penalty in the second half after 69 minutes, which would have put them 2-1 ahead. Lahti then scored a winner in the 91st minute to go through the semi-final. Now, Lahti have never won the Suomen Cup, so in their current guys, I'll make that clear. I think Apace and KuPS, who merged to form Lahti in the 90s, have won it separately, but Lahti in this iteration have never won it. So they're through to the semi-final, but they did make hard work of it. So I'm not sure if they've done the draw for the semi-final already. They like to do these things in advance. But yeah, it's they're through to the semis now. So tense. Although I think they racked up 6 bookings and a red card in this game, so they've definitely come out fighting.
The semi-final fixtures are not listed on the Paloliitto website, so that's not there at the moment. But the remaining 3 games of this round are FC Inter at home to HJK, FC Haka at home to KuPS, and PK35, who are in Ukkonen,
yes,
at home to HJK. PK35 is a name that may not be familiar to everyone listening, but they do seem to crop up from time to time in our interview shows, in conversation shows, and we published this week the interview with Robert Ivanov, and it was there at the start of his career. Can one of you just tell a little bit about PK35?
Well, they're out of Vanta. They've got men's and women's teams. They've actually got 2 women's teams. It's we've had some laughs before when they've come up against
entirely separate clubs.
Yeah.
They are not the same club, but they have the same name and badge.
But all right, they are entirely separate organisations.
Yes,
who look very similar, and we've had some laughs when they sort of come up against each other with the exact same kit and the exact same badge.
It's the localist of derbies.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, they've done their bit for developing players, both on the men's side and the women's side. Amanda Rantanen came through there. I mean, her dad Rami Rantanen, he's been involved there for a long time. So well established club. But to be honest with you, with one eye on that fixture, I'm hoping that this the Suomen Cup run can be the little spur that HJK need to reignite their season. To be honest.
Well, they've done, I think, in the progress so far, I think they've won 2 penalty shootouts already to get to this point. Again, and I think one of the game they played against Honka was at PK35's ground in one of the early rounds for whatever reason that was. But it's when you look at the fixtures and Inter against HJK, which is the final, I think, in 2019, possibly 2020. And, again, it's Chalman's last game. HJK are really struggling. I mean, this is going to be Inter's best chance to knock them out, although Inter have done things the hard way. They beat Asiko on penalties in the round before that, and then they walloped their own junior team 10-0 in the round before that. So, we'll call that one a bye. But yeah, they've got HJK now in the quarterfinals. So yeah, the big boys are left KuPS as well. So it's exciting. And again, for the winner, assuming they don't qualify elsewhere, there's a Europa Conference League spot that goes with a check for, I think, is it €50,000? Not bad.
And
didn't the Hoyiko VPS game, wasn't that decided by a penalty shootout as well, where everybody missed? Was that one?
Yeah, that was that one where the Hoyiko keeper Tanander saved 4 penalties.
There you go.
And it ended 2-1. Yeah, so he saved 4, and Hoyiko still contrived to miss at least 2. Yeah, it wasn't a high quality one. That was that sort of that really horrible Monday that Hoyiko had.
Yeah.
I mean, they sacked their player sort of just after full time as well, which we won't go into. But yeah, it's been this has been the first year that the Cup's returned to this format, and it's been
good, yeah.
Popular for, I mean, not necessarily for the right reasons. I mean, it's been the year of the Ilves game and teams playing each other's reserve teams and stuff. But it's definitely got people interested. And I think that the buzz, especially those early rounds, we've got proper amateur players. I mean, people we know playing in those games. Yeah, I mean, what's to stop us putting a Finnish football show team together for coming years? I don't know, but
age, fitness,
it hasn't
injury
stopped some of the people we know. And I think it's been a coup, and I think they're looking now at doing similar, going back to the women's Suomen Cup as well. So I think maybe next year, but the Suomen Cup. I mean, we talked about that in the interview with Johanna, the women's competition. You know, again, real sort of opportunities there for teams to play against these big clubs, and in the men's version, it's been really popular.
Hey, I was just thinking that one thing we should mention briefly that it doesn't get lost in all this Suomen Cup, Euros, Veikkausliiga thing. We've got European competition starting next week.
Wow.
I know that on Thursday, the 7th, is Europa Conference game, first round for ACK. They're away to Flora Tallinn. And then the following week on the 14th is the home fixture. I won't be traveling to Tallinn because holiday plans interfere, but which is a shame because in the past, ACK have gone further afield. This was as local a derby as you could hope to get, and it didn't quite work out. But I'm looking forward to the home fixture. Rich, what are the other fixtures for the other teams?
Hoyiko are playing Riga FS from Latvia in the Champions League. So this is the first qualifying round.
That's on a Wednesday, isn't it?
That's on a Wednesday. Weirdly, because the way that this competition is structured, because the removal of Russian teams has created a void in the Conference League. So the loser of that would normally go into the second round of the Conference League. The loser of this goes into the third round. So, but again, Hoyiko last year, because they made it into the group stage of the Conference League, coined it in. They earned millions of euros out of that, just to really broaden that gap between them and the rest of the league, which hasn't translated onto the table, thankfully. So assuming they get through that one, they've also done the draw for the following round, in which case Hoyiko would play Victoria Pilsen of Czechia, which is quite a big club. I think they've been in the group stage of the Champions League in recent times. I remember playing Man United and possibly Chelsea. So that's a tough draw for them if they get through. And the other Finnish teams in the Conference League. So KuPS are playing Dila Gori of Georgia. We've already talked about ACK, and Inter are playing Drita of Kosovo. So again, a bit of a step into the unknown. This is the issue with these competitions in their early stages. But for those sides, if they get through, KuPS would play, I'm not going to try and pronounce these, a team from Lithuania or Moldova. ACK would play Lillestrøm of Norway if they qualified.
You don't mind if I take this one game at a time, do you, chaps?
No. I mean, it's ACK, isn't it? But, and then Inter That's a really tough one. They've got Royal Antwerp of Belgium, who I'm pretty sure won possibly the UEFA Cup or the Cup Winners' Cup many moons ago. But again, fairly big squad, big team.
Yeah, that's good. We'll put the fixtures there and maybe a couple of screenshots of the future fixtures as well. So they're in the in the show notes as well. So there's a lot going on, a lot to keep an eye out.
Yeah, well, those, I mean, that basically they get played throughout July. Last year, Hooikoa obviously got through the group stage of Conference League via the Europa League. I think they were the first, if not the joint first team to ever get eliminated from 3 European competitions in one season. KuPS got through to the playoff round and lost to Union Berlin, which was a great run. They've had a couple of good runs in Europe recently. So if KuPS can keep that up, I mean, they're massively, I won't say in debt, but they could do with the money. Let's put it that way. So if KuPS had a good run there, that'd be nice, because that'll take them into August when
do with a few new stands at that ground by the looks of things.
Well, again, that was the European run last year was one of the sort of drives behind getting planning permission for the new stadium that Mr. Arilati is heavily involved in. There's no conflict of interest there at all.
Absolutely nothing to see here. Hey, there's the whistle. Let's draw a veil over this one. Rich, you were talking earlier about your interview with Johanna Ruohonen. Maybe she can be our following subject for this episode. Where can people find her?
So on Twitter, she's at Johanna RUO, so the first 3 letters of her surname. On there, she's got links to where you can buy her book. We'll put all that in the show notes of the episode that come out next week with images and things like that. But she's on there and very much sort of in the build up to this Women's Euros. She hosted a sort of Q&A at the Finnish Embassy in London a couple of weeks ago, which is how we got talking. I wasn't invited. But yeah, and again, this book, where she's hoping that at some point there might be an English translation, but whether the market's there or not. But yeah, she's well worth following, and we'll put her Instagram in the show notes as well.
Very good. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks to my co-host for joining me. Rich, goodbye.
Hey.
And Keke, goodbye.
Kiitos. Moido.
Listener, thank you for listening. And until the next episode of the show, which seems to me like it's going to be coming along quite soon and regularly thereafter. Until then, goodbye.
You have been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and on Instagram. See the links in the episode description below. You can also connect with the 4 hosts on Twitter, at Explore Finland, at FC Suomi, at Escape to Suomi, at Keke Muller. Links to the Finnish Football Show merch stores are also in the episode description.